Hello there guys, and welcome back to another video from Frog Lane Studio. So in the very first episode on this how to paint tutorial, we looked at the light battle damage. So this was using light chipping effects. The next step we went on to in the second episode, you can see it just up here, was heavy battle damage. So we were looking at impact craters and scraps and scrapes on the armor and modeling those on. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at how to paint dirt and grime on your models. So as you can see, I've already got this model painted. Now our first step we're going to be doing is to go in with the base colour. So for myself, this is my Crag Blue base. And what you're wanting to do is we're looking at having the paint fully chipped off the model itself. So similar to last week's episode. So you're going to want to be focusing mainly on the edges of the armor. You can see me painting this on the top of the greave there. And it's just in random blotches, really just to establish where the paint has lifted off. This is going to form the edge of where the bare metal meets the paint. I'd also like to mention real quick that if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to more featured content, especially around these painting tutorials. It's something that I really enjoy doing for you guys. If you've got any ideas for any tutorials or anything, please leave those in the comments as well. Anyway, back to the video. So when you're doing this, like I said, this is the base for where the chipping is going to go. So you want to be mindful about where you place it. Majority of the time, this is going to be around the edges of the armor. So once you've got your base down, then the next step, we're going to be coming in with Iron Hands Steel here. And so this is going to be painted where we've already painted your base colour. And we're going to be going right up to the edges of where the armour is. Just leaving the base colour around the edges of that. And I'm just trying to feather this in. So you're wanting to use the point of your brush. And once again, you don't have to be too neat with this. The more random, the better, really. But we're just following the lines. So wherever that base coat has been put down, then we're going in with the Iron Hands Steel. So we're almost done with this process now, and already the model's looking pretty fly. So our next step, we're going to be using Runefang Steel here, and this is going to be our edge highlight. So once again, you've got your base color down, and then we've put the Iron Hand Steel. This Runefang Steel is going to be painted leaving both of those colors showing and just right towards the edges of the armor, and this is going to show like the newly chipped look. Now don't worry if it's starting to look a little bit too bright. We're going to be going back in with washes in a second and just dulling this area down and giving it a bit more weathering, a bit more dirt and a bit more grime to it. So this is almost like the base layer, if you will. So we've got all the chipping down, but the model's looking too bright, and of course this video is all about dirt and grime, so that's what we're going to be doing next. I'm fully loading the brush here with quite a bit of Agrax Earthshade, and we're wanting to go with quite a heavy wash on this. You want to cover all of the metal areas that you've done, and then bleed that shade into the painting areas. Now what I mean by that is we're going to paint all of the metal areas, and then we're going to go up and into where the rest of the painted model is already. You can see me doing this here, so I'm focusing on the metal areas, and then I'm going up and over and into the blue areas on this particular model. Obviously, if whatever color that you're painting your model, you're going to just want to follow the same sort of process on here. Now when that dries, because it's a shade, it's going to put a nice filter over the top of it of like a really earthy, browny black, grimy color, if you will. So you can see me here not just focusing on the metal areas as well, but in those cracks and those crevices where that dirt and where that grime's going to be building up, we want to be focusing there as well. So on a model like this, where we're focusing on the leg detailing, there's quite a lot of the area that's going to be covered with that. So you're going to want to leave that shade to dry completely. And then our next step is to be going in with the technical paint Typhus Corrosion. Now I'm using a sponge here. You can use a paintbrush, but you're going to get more random effects with the sponge. Now I'm not putting a lot of the Typhus Corrosion on here, just a small amount. And then once you've put it on, you can wipe your finger across it so that the Typhus corrosion stays in the recesses of the armor. It's naturally where the dirt would build up. So you're putting the Typhus corrosion on with a sponge, and then on the raised areas, it's going to provide like a dull sheen to it, but you're still wiping the majority of that off. And we're just going to slowly, layer by layer, build this effect up. The Typhus corrosion dries quite quickly, so you can go back on. And it's that repeated process. Obviously, if you just did it once or twice, then you're going to get very light dirt or grime. But the more we do this, the more you're going to build up that colour. The duller that the silver's going to look, and the duller that the paint job itself is going to look. And you can already see that this is really starting to look dirty and grimy. You can imagine this across the entire model. So this next part is actually an optional step. It's not something that you have to do, but I paint my models quite cartoony in style. So what I'm doing here is, just to make that blue pop back out again, is to go in with the highlight color. So for myself, this is Kelgar blue, and it's a layer paint from Games Workshop, and I'm just going back in, and anywhere that had a pure blue color, I'm just going in and adding the edge highlights back into that. And you can see where the silver is on that. I'm just going in and adding a small edge highlight. This is not something that you want to do a lot of. It's just really small, fine detail to pick that out. So we're almost done in this tutorial now. You can really see that that's, in comparison to the other parts of the armor, it's looking really dirty and grimy. So our final step is to add that built-up grime. We've already put the dirt in. We're now going in with the built-up grime. And what we're doing here is we're using snakebite leather contrast, which has got a really nice brown film, a brown filter to it. And I'm applying this to all of the recesses of the armor. So you can imagine with the dirt and the wetness creeping into those cracks and really building up on that dirty texture. Now, for us to look at a model like this, it would be microscopic in terms of that dirt and that grime. But what we're doing here is giving an overall flavour to that by applying this snakebite contrast to it. So it's really up to you how much of this you want to put on your model. Obviously, the more you put on, then the more dirty and the more grimy that the model is going to look. And the less that you put on, the more it's just been like a 1 day, a 2 day process. But it's really up to you how much of this you apply and you put on. But these are the techniques that I use whenever I'm looking at weathering a model. It's that 2-stage process with the Typhus corrosion for the dirt, and then the snakebite leather contrast for the grime, and just putting those on, marrying those two up in terms of how much intensity I want on that model. So there we have it then, guys, a quick and easy video tutorial on how to go about painting dirt and grime onto your miniatures. If you are doing something like this, then very much so you want to be starting at the bottom and kind of working your way up. Obviously the grime is going to build up more on the bottom because that's where the dirt and the grime generally live. Fantastic. If you have enjoyed this, then please let me know down in the comments what other tutorials you guys want me to cover. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help me. If you have been finding the streams or videos useful at all, then I'd just like to mention as well that the channel does have a Patreon page, link to which is just down below. And if you have learned or enjoyed any of that, then all support is greatly appreciated, as it allows me to continue to support you guys with paints and brushes and models and so on. Channel Patreons receive various benefits such as requesting tutorial content, hourly one-to-one hobby sessions with myself, and we have a fantastic Discord community as well where everybody's really active on there. So the more subscribers that we have and the more giveaways that we can do. So if any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help me keep on making these tutorials, then feel free to have a look at the link down below. In any case, a massive thank you to all of my Patreons and to you guys as well for watching. Take care, and may your brushes always be pointed.